Welcome to HoodooTube, your one-stop shop for reviews of fantasy, horror, and supernatural entertainment for the African diaspora. I've always loved stories like the Arabian Nights growing up, and the very first movie I saw in theaters as a kid was the 90s Disney classic Aladdin, which premiered in 1992, so I've always had a connection to the story of the Jinn. Though Jinn or genies are mostly associated with the Middle East, many black cultures in North, East, and West, and even Central African countries tell tales of the Jinn haunting different sacred places in their lands. Countries like Nigeria, Tunisia, Kenya, and Sudan all have folklore about Jinn and how they interact with humans, especially amongst their Muslim populations. So it makes sense that we have so many examples of black men playing Jinn in movies and TV. If you've ever wondered about some of the popular movies with actors of African descent playing these interesting magical creatures, stay tuned. Here's a quick list of 7 black Jinn on film and TV. The Thief of Baghdad. The Thief of Baghdad is the 1940 Technicolor historic fantasy that was ahead of its time for its international storylines for American audiences and its cinematography. Plus, I'm certain that in 1940, it was a huge achievement for several people of color to play starring roles and have their names announced as top billing in the colorful, exciting trailer. Many fantastic sights were meant to draw in viewers, like the intrigue of Iraq's foreign cultural history, flying carpets and flying horses, the mysterious all-seeing eye, and of course, the giant genie, played by American actor Rex Ingram. Rex Ingram was an accomplished black actor from 1918 well into the 1960s, and in a day and age where black actors rarely gained starring roles, like the 1940s, I can only imagine having such a prominent role in a fantasy film in the year 1940 was a massive deal. Because this was a big budget production advertised for its fantastic sights and visual effects, a black man playing a giant genie would have likely made Ingram a renowned black movie star of the time. This film was also culturally groundbreaking for its multi-ethnic stars in the cast, including Indian-American actor Sabu, who plays Abu, the owner of the lamp. This film would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. Fairy Tale Theater, Aladdin and His Wonderful Lamp. In 1986, a critically acclaimed fantasy variety series, Fairy Tale Theater, had an Arabian Nights themed episode based on the story of Aladdin's lamp. Long before the animated movie made the story as popular, every episode of this series was based on popular fairy tales and myths. And in this episode, there were several TV icons. 2 stars from the stars, so to speak. In the 5th season of this series, both James Earl Jones, who's known for his iconic role as Darth Vader in Star Wars, plays the genie, and Leonard Nimoy, who's equally known for his role as Spock in Star Trek, plays the evil magician, who instructs Aladdin on how to find the genie's lamp. James Earl Jones, of course, has the perfect deep baritone voice to narrate this hour-long episode. Aladdin eventually releases the genie, who is not only blue, but is wearing a grill, one of the earliest examples of grills I've ever seen on TV. I think it's also notable that this Jinn is blue, and I can't help but wonder if this is why most of the later versions of Aladdin's genie are blue as well. Though this story, Aladdin, differs drastically from the ones I'm used to. Like in this version, Aladdin having a mother. Like other versions, Aladdin battles an evil magician, his own uncle, for the ownership of the lamp. Bernard and the Genie. In 1991, several British film and TV icons decided to team up for a comedic, made-for-TV movie based on the story of the Arabian Nights, but set in modern times. In this movie, Bernard, played by iconic British actor Alan Cummings, is a high-end art dealer who's constantly belabored by his uptight boss, who's played by British comedic legend Rowan Atkinson, aka Mr. Bean. But through his work, Bernard finds a magical genie lamp, and his entire world is turned upside down by magic. The genie, named Josephus, is played by iconic British Jamaican actor Lenny Henry, and throughout the film, Bernard tries using his wishes, but also helps Josephus adjust to life in the modern era. While many genie stories are usually full of danger and adventure, this film is more of a feel-good comedy asking the viewer if they appreciate the blessings they already have in their life, and if wishing could truly make things better. Kazam. In 1996, Shaquille O'Neal was one of the most popular athletes in the media, dominating news headlines and the basketball courts on teams like the Orlando Magic. So it makes sense that he branched out into acting, which would make him a superstar even outside of sports. One of Shaq's high-profile film roles during his sports heyday was Kazam, the musical fantasy about a young boy growing up in the inner streets who encounters a magical boombox that contained inside it an ancient 5,000-year-old genie. Because this is a kids movie, I can appreciate all the magical visual effects and cinematography and 90s nostalgia of this movie, even though most critics were not very kind to this movie. Though this movie isn't critically acclaimed, it does seem like a fun, magical escape where we can imagine what a kid would wish for if they could wish for anything. I'm going to have to rewatch this movie and review it for this channel and see how entertaining Shaq is as a magical Jinn. Once Upon a Time. In 2011, Once Upon a Time became a popular hit TV series based on numerous popular fairy tales and myths made in modern times. In the fictional town of Storybrooke live townspeople who are modern versions of these fairy tales with no memory of living in the ancient magical fairy tale world. Though the story is focused on more popular characters like Snow White, Prince Charming, the evil sorceress, and the Princess Swan, many of the other characters in this series are based on fairy tale characters, including the magical mirror, played by iconic American actor Giancarlo Esposito. The mirror was cursed to work for the evil sorceress, but before that, in the magical world, he was a powerful genie from the land of Agrabah, who used to serve kings and other powerful men for centuries. In the 11th episode, entitled Fruit of the Poisonous Tree, we see the full story of how the genie betrayed the king, who released him from the lamp for the love of his own queen. But when he betrayed the king for his love of the queen, he unknowingly cursed himself to work for her forever as the magical mirror. Aladdin. Likely the most popular fantasy movie to feature a genie is Aladdin and its equally successful live remake, which premiered in 2019, and it was a commercial box office success. Based on the popular Arabian Nights stories and the 1992 Disney animated version, Aladdin in 2019 broke barriers for Middle Eastern actors in major blockbuster production films in America. When seeing this film in the theaters, I couldn't help but notice the hijabi women in the theater watching as well. And I love that this film shows so much cultural exchange between Middle Eastern people and Black people, who were both a part of the film. Movie superstar Will Smith stole the show in this movie as the flashy and ridiculously magical genie, who coaches Aladdin through making his wishes and wooing Princess Jasmine. This movie was perfectly cast, as Mina Massoud played a fantastic Aladdin and Naomi Scott played a captivating Jasmine. The special effects in this movie were top tier. The costuming was astounding, and even the dancing and music helped bring the story to life so well. I also enjoyed that in this newer version, the Will Smith genie is powerful and magical. The genie also has a human side and a way to escape, working for rich and powerful men who find the lamp in every generation. 3,000 Years of Longing. 3,000 Years of Longing is the 2022 epic historic fantasy and majestic love story starring British icons Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba as a historian who discovers a Jinn's bottle and grapples with the idea of using her wishes or hiding the lamp. I absolutely love the visual effects in this film because there's so many gorgeous and interesting shapes and forms that Idris Elba's Jinn becomes in the story. As the Jinn adjusts to life in modern times, the story unfolds when he explains to the professional storyteller, Alethea, why he has been stuck in the lamp, and all of his attempts throughout history to find love, but also become free. Every story the Jinn tells is another age and time, broken up into several chapters, where he serves several different people, including many women he falls in love with, but ultimately were unable to free him with their wishes. One of the most epic parts of this film is when the Jinn tells his tale of his romantic encounter serving the African historic icon, the Queen of Sheba, who's played by Ugandan actor Amido Lagoon.